Hi, my name is David. Today we're going to do number 2703, return length of arguments passed. And we're going to solve this in JavaScript. So it wants us to write a function, arguments length, that returns the count of arguments passed to it. So we see here, input, we have an array with one value inside of it as 1. So output is 1 because that's the length of it. We see here, we pass through an empty object, null, and a string of 3. So 1, 2, 3, and returns 3. So it seems like it doesn't matter what type of value is being passed, just it could be any, because args R is a valid JSON array. So that's what this is going to be. So here the ... indicates that it could be any number, but we don't know what's the length. So that is what we're trying to figure out. So there's actually a quick way to do this. Because it's an array, it has the .length property, and the .length of it is the count of the array, and we can just return that back. So we can simply do return args.length. And we got it. So what's the time and space complexity of this? So the time complexity might make you think a little bit, because how are we getting the length of it? Are we looping through it to getting the length? But it's actually going to be O of 1. It's constant. Let me show you something. So if let me clear this out. So let's say I create an array. Three, and then I console log it. We see here it stores the property of length of it being 3 inside of it. So it has access to it at constant time. So that is why it's O of 1. And then the space complexity of it is also going to be O of 1, because we're not creating any new data structures to it. It's going to be a constant space no matter the length of the args. So that's a quick way to do it. But let's say we can't do this. We can't simply return args.length. What's another way to solve this problem? A more longer way, a little bit more inefficient way. So what we can do instead is that using a for loop, we can keep a variable that's going to keep count of everything. So we can create count variable, and it's going to start off at 0. That's the initial count 0, and then we can do args. And then as we're looping through, we can increment count. Looping through, we'll have a count variable, be 1 and 3, and then to we create the count variable. Now we do a for loop for that I equals 0, I is less than args.length, I plus plus, and that's just incrementing through this, not incrementing, is iterating through it, we increment count. And lastly, we just return count. Great, so that's another way we can do it. So what's the time and space complexity of it? The time complexity since we're looping through args, it's going to be O of n, where n is the length of args, depending on how long this is. And then the space complexity is going to be O of 1, because we're just using constant variables of the count that we had. So that's how we solve this problem. Thank you so much.